As to tasting blood and such like tragic dishes, read, wherever it may be told, it is in Herodotus, I think, how some tribes have used blood drawn from the arms for both parties and tasted to seal a treaty. Something of that kind was tasted in Catiline's plot. They say, too, that among some tribesmen of Scythian stock that every dead man is eaten by his kindred. But I go too far afield. Today and here, when men are dedicated to Bellona, the thigh is cut, the blood is caught in a little shield, and given to them to consume as a sign. Again, those who, when a show is given in the arena with greedy thirst, have caught the fresh blood of the guilty slain, as it pours fresh from their throats and carries it off as a curse for their epilepsy. What of them? Again, those who dine on the flesh of wild animals from the arena, keen on the meat of boar or stag, that boar is his battle. That boar in his battle has wiped the blood off him, those whose blood he drew. That stag has wallowed in the blood of a gladiator. The bellies of the very bears they sought, full of raw and undigested human flesh. Man's flesh goes belching. Man's flesh goes belching, fattened on man's flesh. You who eat things, how far are you from those Christian banquets? Let your error blush before the Christians, for we do not include even animals' blood in our natural diet. We abstain on that account from things strangled or that die of themselves, that we may not in any way be polluted by blood, even if it is burned in the meat. Finally, when you are testing Christians, you offer them sausages full of blood. You are thoroughly well aware, of course, that among them it is forbidden, but you want to make them transgress. Now, I ask you, what sort of thing is it? That when you are confident that they will turn with horror from animals' blood, you should suppose them greedy for human blood? Unless perhaps you yourselves have found it sweeter, human blood, than ought to be used as an extra test with the Christians, like the brazier and incense box. They would be convicted as much by their eagerness for human blood as by their refusal of sacrifice, and acquitted if they did not taste it, but as they would be if they had sacrificed. And when your prisoners were being tied and condemned, there would, I am very sure, be no shortage of human blood. There would, I am very sure, be no shortage of human blood. Then again, who are more incestuous than the disciples of Jupiter? The Persians, according to Cestius, consort with their mothers, and the Macedonians are suspected of it too, because when first they heard the tragedy of Oedipus, they laughed at his grief for the incest. He lay with Jocasta, they said, yet now reflect how far error may go in promoting incest. As your promiscuous wantonness offers occasion. To begin, you expose your children to be taken up by the pity of any stray outsider who passes, or shall we say. You release them to be adopted by better parents. When the family is discarded, sometimes memory must be lost. And when once mistaken, and when once mistake strikes in, then a strain of incest will continue as stock and sin creep on together. Then in the next instance, whatever the spot at home, abroad across the sea, lust goes with you, whose sallies may in every place beget you children without your knowing it. A very little of the seed will do it, so that a stock scattered through the range of human travel may fall in with its own source, and all unaware fail to recognize an incestuous union. From such an event, we are guarded by a chastity supremely careful and faithful. We are safe from random intercourse and from all excess after marriage, and in the degree from the risk of incest. And in that degree from the risk of incest. Some indeed, in a much greater security, guard themselves against the violence of this sin by a virgin continence, old in years, but still children. If you would realize that these sins are found among yourselves, and would see that they are not to be found among the Christians, the same eyes would assure you of both facts. But two sorts of blindness easily meet, so that those who do not see what is really there seem to see what is not. So in all the points at issue, I will show you, but now of our more conspicuous crimes. You do not, say you, worship the gods. You do not offer sacrifices for the emperors. It follows by party, by parity, by partry. It follows by party of reason that we do not sacrifice for others because we do not ourselves. It follows from our not worshiping the gods. Because we do not for ourselves. It follows from our not worshiping the gods. So we are accused of sacrilege and treason at once. That is the chief of the case against us, the whole of it, in fact. And it in any case deserves investigation, unless the judgment is to be given by prejudice or injustice. The one despairing of truth, the other refusing it, our gods. Your gods, then, we cease to worship from the moment when we recognize that they are not gods. So that is what you ought to require us to prove, that those gods are not gods and are therefore not to be worshipped, because it is only if they had been gods that they should be worshipped. Then indeed Christians would deserve punishment if it were established that the gods whom they did not worship, because they thought they were not gods, really were gods.